There is a game being played right now, and you might not even realize you're the board. Someone close to you is feeding on your energy, twisting your reputation when you leave the room, and testing exactly how much disrespect you'll absorb before you finally crack. They've labeled you an easy target. They see your kindness as a weakness. They believe your patience is permanent. But you searched for this content because a switch has already flipped inside you. You're finished being the person who absorbs the blows and apologizes for the bruises. The identity that was naive, that was exploited, that was taken for granted, is being retired today. What we are about to break down are 10 psychological frameworks, forged in the strategies of history's most formidable minds. These aren't tips for getting even. This is a complete reconstruction of your operating system. By the final frame, you will not only understand how to neutralize the people who move against you, you will become someone they instinctively fear provoking. Lock in. Principle number 1. Cultivate emotional opacity. Right now, your antagonists have a critical advantage. They can read you like a children's book. When you're angry, your face flushes. When you're hurt, your voice trembles. When you're insecure, you over-explain. These are not just reactions. They are the levers they use to manipulate you. The great strategist Machiavelli observed that a transparent man is a controllable man. Your emotions are intelligence, and leaking them freely is like handing your enemy the keys to your fortress. So, starting this moment, you begin constructing an internal dam. This isn't about becoming robotic. It's about becoming sovereign. When an insult is thrown, your expression becomes granite. When a provocation is lobbed, your breathing stays steady. When they try to bait you into a public outburst, you look through them, not at them. Practice this in the small skirmishes. When someone talks over you, pause and let the silence hang. When a disrespectful comment lands in a group, hold their gaze for an extra beat, say nothing, and then turn your attention to someone else. You will witness a fascinating terror unfold in their eyes. People are unnerved by what they cannot decipher. They lose their footing. They begin to second-guess their tactics. They start to orbit you more carefully because they no longer know which buttons work. That uncertainty is where your dominion begins. When you become an emotional fortress, you become strategically untouchable. Principle number 2. Allow them to exhaust themselves. The instinct when wronged is to strike back immediately, to clear your name, to confront the liar head-on. This is a catastrophic error. You are playing your hand before you even see the cards on the table. The second principle demands a discipline most lack: the patience to watch the trap build itself. History teaches us that the wise observer learns more from the actions of his enemy than the enemy learns from his own bluster. When someone schemes, do not interrupt their performance. Let them move their pieces. Let them talk to the wrong people. Let them grow bold in their assumed secrecy. Comfort breeds arrogance, and arrogance breeds exposure. They will start to overreach, making promises they can't keep, revealing their motives to witnesses they think are allies, and stretching their strategy until it snaps under its own weight. This is not passive waiting. This is predatory stalking. Think of a grandmaster of chess. The amateur attacks on move 2. The master spends 20 moves subtly restricting his opponent's space, creating a cage the other walks into voluntarily. You bring that same calculated patience. You observe. You catalog. You let them dig a hole so deep that when you finally appear at the top, they are too far down to climb out. Patience is the ultimate camouflage for the predator. Principle number 3. Mirror their frequency, then sever the connection. This is a devastating piece of psychological jiu-jitsu. When a player initiates their game, you do not resist, you reflect. You match their tone with precision. If they are warm, you are warm. If they are distant, you become distant. You become their perfect echo. Without them realizing it, this mirroring creates a subconscious bond. They feel heard, validated, and in control of the dynamic. They become attached to the rhythm you are setting, and that attachment is their undoing. Because the true power lies not in the reflection, but in the sudden withdrawal. Once they are accustomed to your energy, once they lean on that connection, you remove it entirely. No warning, no dramatic fight. You simply become unreachable, a radio signal that has vanished into static. Human psychology is wired to crave what is lost more than it values what is held. Your absence creates a vacuum in their mind. They will replay every interaction, searching for the mistake. They will reach out, not because you asked, but because the silence you left is deafening. You aren't being cruel. You are giving them the experience of losing someone they profoundly underestimated. That experience rewires them in a way no argument ever could. Principle number 4. Seize control of the narrative. Every human exchange occurs within a defined context, a frame that dictates who holds the power. Most people are oblivious to this. They enter conversations and arguments, assuming the frame is neutral. It never is. Your opponent has already established a frame that paints you as the aggressor, the irrational one, or the guilty party. The moment you step inside that frame and start defending yourself, you have already been defeated. The 4th principle is to never fight on their terrain. When they accuse you of being difficult, do not list examples of your flexibility. Instead, reframe the conversation. Ask them calmly why your boundaries are an inconvenience to their demands. When they claim you've become arrogant, do not plead humility. Reframe it as a natural consequence of outgrowing a space they wanted you to stay small in. You are not reacting. You are redirecting the entire current of the dialogue. You catch their arrow and send it back with a new trajectory. The person who defines the terms of the debate controls the emotional outcome. Stop existing in their story. Write your own and force them to become a footnote in it. Principle number 5. Deploy a silence that speaks volumes. There is a tool so powerful, yet so counterintuitive, that most people abandon it for the fleeting relief of a shouted comeback. That tool is strategic silence. When someone attacks you, they are feeding on your reaction. They want the drama, the defense, the volume. Every word you give them is kerosene on their fire. But silence, a deep, intentional, unnerving silence, suffocates that fire completely. When your accuser is met with absolute stillness, the energy in the room inverts. Their words begin to hang in the air, unanswered, and they suddenly appear desperate and unhinged. The onlookers, if any, begin to question why you are so composed and they are so frantic. You become the immovable object, and they become the wind that merely exhausts itself. This is not weakness. This is the restraint of a sniper waiting for the perfect shot. You aren't quiet because you have no response. You are quiet because you know that any response you give will be twisted and used to build the case against you. You give them nothing. Your stillness communicates one devastating message. I am not threatened by your chaos. And nothing terrifies a manipulator more than a target who refuses to be provoked. Your silence will echo in their mind long after they've stopped yelling. Principle number 6. Revia 0. Record everything. The majority of people self-sabotage not through a lack of strength, but through a surplus of speech. They treat personal information as casual conversation, offering up their fears, plans, and weaknesses to anyone who asks. They are shocked when this data is later weaponized. The great strategists knew that every piece of information is a potential liability. Principle 6 is to operate with the discipline of an intelligence officer. In every room, you become a student of human behavior. You watch for micro-expressions. You listen for what is omitted, for the stories that don't align. You note who gossips about others, knowing they will gossip about you. You catalog inconsistencies and stow away details people forget they mentioned. And while you are absorbing all of this, your own vault remains sealed. When probed about your life, you offer polite, vague generalities. Before pivoting the question back to them, people are generally so eager to discuss themselves that they won't notice you've given them nothing. Information is the currency of control. The person who knows the most, while saying the least, quietly governs the game. While others are performing, you are analyzing. When the moment of confrontation arrives, you will know their entire playbook because you were studying them while they were too busy underestimating you. Principle number 7. Become so essential that they can't bear your absence. There is a stratum of power that transcends mind games and confrontation. It is the influence that flows from being a person of such high value that those who once dismissed you now panic at the thought of being excluded from your life. This is Principle 7, and it is elegantly ruthless. Elevate your worth until you become indispensable. The classic texts tell us that a ruler who is merely feared is safe, but a ruler who is needed is invincible. Most people obsess over revenge when they are wronged. They want to see the other person suffer. But revenge is a distraction for those with time to waste on the past. The definitive response to disrespect is to build a life so impressive that their betrayal looks like the biggest miscalculation of their existence. Begin your transformation in secret. Improve your physique. Acquire high-value skills. Increase your financial autonomy. Expand your network with intention. Feed your mind with literature, discipline, and focused effort. You broadcast. None of this. You let the results speak through the grapevine. The same people who plotted against you will begin to watch your ascent with a creeping sense of regret. They will send out feelers, disguised as concern, to see if they can re-enter your orbit. They will realize the person they discarded is now someone they desperately need. And that is when you hold all the cards. You get to choose. Your growth isn't a message to them. It's a monument to yourself. But monuments cast long shadows, and those shadows fall directly on the graves they tried to dig for you. Principle number 8. Cultivate strategic unpredictability. There is one archetype that no manipulator can ever fully conquer. The person they cannot predict. Every scheme they build relies on a predictable reaction. They insult you, expecting anger. They ignore you, expecting you to chase. They lie about you, expecting a public defense. Their entire strategy is a house of cards built on the assumption that you are static. So what happens when that assumption shatters? What happens when you become a variable they cannot calculate? The masters of power understood that rigidity is death. The 8th principle is to become strategically unpredictable. When they expect outrage, respond with quiet amusement. When they expect you to retreat, hold your ground with a calm that unsettles them. When they expect silence, speak with a precision that cuts through their fog. This is not randomness. This is calculated volatility. A random person is chaotic and weak. An unpredictable person is in perfect control, simply refusing to let anyone else access the algorithm. This freezes your opponent. They can no longer plan 3 moves ahead. They overthink. They make errors because the mental model they had of you has been demolished. While they are scrambling to figure out who you've become, you are already 10 moves ahead, operating in a dimension they can't perceive. Principle number 9. Forge quiet alliances in the shadows. No lasting power was ever consolidated by a solitary individual, and no dirty player was ever truly defeated by a lone wolf who refused to build a network. People in conflict often make the mistake of isolating themselves, believing they must fight their battle alone to prove their strength. This is how good people are quietly erased. Principle 9 is about constructing a web of alliances so discreet and so robust that by the time your enemy notices the structure, they are already trapped inside it. This is not about complaining about your enemies. That is pathetic. This is about identifying individuals who resonate with your values and ambition, and cultivating genuine relationships based on mutual exchange. You bring value to them. They bring value to you. No drama, no transactions, just solid bonds. The person who moved against you assumed you were isolated. They assumed that when they attacked, no one would stand in your defense. But when they look up and see that the people whose opinions they need, their colleagues, their friends, their network, have been quietly influenced by your integrity and character, their scheme implodes. You never said a negative word about them. You didn't have to. Your alliances became your shield, and their own behavior became their indictment. Principle number 10. Disappear as if they were never relevant. Every principle we've discussed has built towards this final, ultimate move. It is the one action that no schemer has accounted for. Walking away with the finality of someone who never needed them in the first place. Most people cannot do this. They remain entangled in toxic dynamics because they're addicted to the conflict, or they crave the validation of a final victory. They need the other person to admit they were wrong. But that need, that desperate hunger for closure, is the chain that keeps you bound to people who deserve none of your energy. The ultimate power is not in winning the argument, but in rendering the argument irrelevant. You walk away without a speech. You send no final message explaining their sins. You simply vanish from their reality with the grace of a king stepping over rubble. And here is why this is so devastating. When you leave without emotion or explanation, you take all the power with you. They are left holding a conversation with no one. They are haunted by a guilt they cannot resolve, and a silence they cannot fill. You didn't scream, you didn't beg, you didn't fight. Jude's left, and that absence will become the loudest statement you ever made. It tells them they were never as important as they believed. It tells them your peace was always worth more than their presence. It tells them that the person they tried to break has already moved on to build something far greater, without them in it. Your departure is the final chapter they will never stop reading. Now, I want you to make a commitment. If these 10 principles resonated with you, if you're ready to leave the old version of yourself behind, leave a comment with these 7 words. I am the architect of my own power. Let that be your stake in the ground. And if you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe to Winds of Thought so you never miss the strategies that build an unshakable mind. The world is a game of strategy. Now you know how to play it on your own terms.